game of baseball was changed in a subtle but powerful way in this sports drama based on a true story. Billy Beane, the general manager of the Oakland Athletics baseball team, faces the challenge of building a competitive team on a limited budget. Disillusioned with traditional scouting methods, Beane adopts a revolutionary approach using statistical analysis to evaluate and acquire undervalued players. With the help of a young Yale graduate, Beane assembles an unconventional roster that defies expectations and achieves remarkable success. Wes and Alexis break out the spreadsheets in their review of Moneyball on View the Right Thing.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of View the Right Thing. I'm Wes.
I'm Alexis.
Sorry, I got distracted as soon as I hit record. I thought there was there was a notification saying something about live streaming. I'm like, are we live streaming right now? I don't think we are.
No way.
I don't think I set it up. I don't think I set it up in the program to live stream. We could live stream our episodes if you ever wanted to do one. But...
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
You follow us on twitch.tv/view the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a Patreon. We didn't talk about that last episode.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon.
Yeah, where you can watch if you pay to subscribe, then you can watch video versions of this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's stuff.
Well, I know that we say you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, and I have a friend who doesn't listen to podcasts, and she was like, so you said that I can listen wherever I want, because I've shared our posts and whatever, and she's like, how do I listen to a podcast? And I was like, oh, well.
She didn't know how to listen to a podcast?
No.
Oh, so what'd you tell her?
I sent her our Spotify link.
Oh, okay.
That takes you directly to View the Right Thing. What is our specific Spotify? I'm so bad at this.
We have a specific Spotify address?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
but
I just
it's called View the Right Thing. If you just go into Spotify and you type in View the Right Thing, this beautiful little icon pops up. Whoops. And fun times. You can listen to us in all of our episodes. All of them. Magical.
Yeah. That text was me.
Oh, groovy.
I was trying to be surreptitiously send you a little note. It didn't go so well because then you lifted the camera up lifted the phone up for the camera right at the time I sent it.
It's all good.
Yeah, you're great. So we sort of talked briefly beforehand about trailers. It sounds like you haven't watched any trailers lately.
I haven't.
No.
No.
So CinemaCon so we're dating this episode now. CinemaCon just happened this week, where they revealed a bunch of movies. It's CinemaCon is for retailers or cinema owners, really.
Oh, okay.
So it's they the companies that make the popcorn buckets show what kind of popcorn buckets they can do. We could do a popcorn bucket for your company or whatever. So there were some sneak peeks of those, or at least of some prototypes, and they also have panels and they give awards and stuff. So the kid that's in the new Karate Kid movie has a Actor of Tomorrow award or something. I think they think he's going to be a big deal. And so they do these panels and every night it's a different studio doing panels. So they ended up releasing some trailers because of these panels. I mean, there's some trailers they didn't release. There's a new Wicked for Good trailer. But they didn't release that online yet.
Okay.
There was a new Fantastic Four trailer they didn't release.
Okay.
They announced the name of the new Spider-Man movie, which I'm very excited for.
Uh-huh.
Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Awesome.
And which is the title of a run of comics in the Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, that is a little controversial. It's not exactly universally loved. So
okay.
It'll be interesting to see how people respond to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
But there's I think, who was it? Maybe Paramount or MGM released whoever has the Naked Gun released a new Naked Gun trailer with Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty like in the right, like it looks like the old movies. I mean, you know.
Really?
Yeah, it looks like the Police Squad Naked Gun style of comedy. You know, it's like Liam Neeson pretending to be a little girl.
I saw like just that
Yeah.
snippet.
Yeah, where he pulls the mask off.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he fights crime with a lollipop in his schoolgirl outfit. So it's pretty silly. And then they sort of explain that he's not the original Frank Drebin, that he's
Okay.
the son of Frank Drebin.
Okay.
And so this is a great scene in the trailer where he's talking to his father. He's looking at a photo of his father on a wall, a memorial in the police station, and the camera back, you know, cuts to another person, and it's Paul Walter Hauser, who
Oh, yes.
I love, is playing I think the chief's son. And so it's like he's also like looking at a photo of his father and also like crying and like, I hope you're proud of me, Papa. And then it cuts out and there's like all of the different police officers are all like kneeling in front of police. But the best part was they cut to the photo of O.J. Simpson, who's in the old Naked Gun movies, and then it cuts to his son, and the guy just looks at the camera and just shakes his head. He's just like, no.
They didn't actually get his son.
No.
Okay,
It's just
okay.
an actor playing his son. Yeah,
Gotcha.
No, I don't. I think his son has like mental issues, and there's some
That's
thought that maybe
understandable.
he was the killer. And yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, there's a whole like theory about how OJ essentially came back to sort of try and cover up for his son. There's
From
all,
another marriage.
yeah.
Because they had 2 children.
Yeah, his son from another marriage who was like obsessed with Nicole.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole.
I was thinking one of like their children.
No. There's a whole rabbit hole you can go down where there's a lot of like things that sort of point to his son.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Pretty sad.
Ugh.
Anyways, moving on. Anyways,
Hey.
Naked Gun trailer looks funny. They screened the new How to Train Your Dragon movie at
Yeah.
at CinemaCon. Like they played the whole movie for the crowd, and apparently
cool.
it's like amazing. And they've already greenlit a sequel. What else?
Really?
Yeah,
This is the live action?
the live action one.
Okay. I haven't seen the original.
It's good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very
I've
sweet.
heard it's good.
Yeah,
I've just never
The
taken
music's
the opportunity to.
yeah, the music's amazing. Trying to think what else. They showed the new Five Nights at Freddy's trailer, which is out.
Cool.
Megan 2.0 looks it's like so much fun.
That's a horror film, right?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean it's horror. It's definitely in the horror genre, but it's like so like off the wall that it's like kind of funny.
Okay.
This one maybe looks more so than the other one, and it seems like they're maybe going like the Terminator 2 route, where there's a different evil doll, so they need the help of the original evil doll.
Ah,
So
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it looks very fun and bonkers, and when I'd heard they were making a Megan 2, I was a little sad because I knew, I'd seen all these videos of the little girl who played Megan, who's like this dancer, and she goes to all these cons and stuff and signs as Megan and teaches people how to do the little dance from the movie and stuff. It's really adorable. And I was like, oh, it's too bad that they're doing a Megan 2, because you can see in these like videos of this girl that she's getting older, and so she's like growing, and it's like they can't bring her back to be the same size doll or whatever. And then in the trailer, then they're talking to Megan and they're rebuilding her, and they say, what do you have any requests? And so she makes a bunch of requests, and she's like, also, I want to be taller. And I was like, oh, I bet that's so they could bring the girl back, which
That's
is really,
cute.
like really sweet that they would do that for an actress. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That is sweet.
yeah. At least I assume that's what they did. I guess I don't really know, but they did a nice. Tom Cruise spoke about Val Kilmer during the Mission Impossible screening. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. So sad.
He's like one of the handful of celebrities who've passed away that the moment I learned of their passing, I immediately started weeping.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff just turned to me. He's like, "Oh no!" And every time he says "Oh no," I know
know.
it means someone's passed. And I was like, and I always preface it with, "Don't say Julie Andrews."
Yeah.
Like every time. And he just goes, "Val Kilmer," and I just started weeping. And he's like, "I did not expect this reaction out of you." And I go, "He was really talented."
He was really talented, and you not that long ago just saw him playing sort of himself as a sick person in Top Gun Maverick, so it was already in our brains that we're seeing him do his best as as an ailing person. So
right. And Tombstone is on all the time.
Yeah, I saw Hulu added Tombstone to the splash screen when you first log in now. So
yep.
I still like Dennis Quaid better as Doc Holliday, but whatever. Whatever.
Okay then.
Yeah. That the last movie we watched actually had an interesting Wyatt Earp connection. We watched Field of Dreams last with Nick.
Yeah.
And both Kevin Costner and Burt Lancaster both played Wyatt Earp. Man,
wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's wild.
And I love the Burt Lancaster one, Gunfight at the OK Corral. It's a great, like most of these, they're not really very factually correct. Which I know because I went to Tombstone last year.
You mean movies aren't factually correct about their...
Yeah. I think it's partially because, the incident was like told and told and told and told. But I think it's also not very flashy. So it's like, gunfight at the OK Corral. But really it was like gunfight in the alley behind the OK Corral. So it wasn't quite as glamorous as one might. And it was over really fast. So it was over in like seconds.
I mean, one would hope that a gunfight doesn't last hours.
Yeah, but they do these like TV and movie, gunfights, and they last, 5 minutes or whatever, or 10 minutes, and it was over in seconds, like 6 seconds or something.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so it's interesting stuff from CinemaCon.
Cool.
I'd like to go one day. I think it'd be fun.
Where is CinemaCon?
Vegas, baby.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I don't want to go to Vegas.
That is one of my least favorite places in the entire world.
Oh, really?
It's too on all the time.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Reno's not so bad. Reno's like Vegas. It's like Vegas light.
Cool. I might enjoy Reno.
Yeah, I mean, it's like got a lot of the same thing. Like there's casinos and stuff and buffets and whatever, but it's like not like everywhere on top of you,
Yeah. Like, give me Old Vegas. Old Vegas I can kind of handle, but like the main strip, just get me out of there.
Yeah. Reno's also close to Tahoe.
Never been.
Very peaceful.
Ooh, nice respite after.
Big lake, mountainy,
I dig it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so maybe one day I'll get to go to CinemaCon. Maybe one day I'll lure you to go there with me.
I'll swallow my pride and just go.
If we could go to some of these panels, I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
I think they showed new footage from Fantastic Four, and they showed some stuff from Thunderbolts. The Marvel guy. I'm
nice.
excited for all that stuff. The Thunderbolts were there. They had a lot of people kind of come in and introduce stuff. So Zoe Saldana was there, and she introduced footage from the new Avatar movie. And they gave everybody 3D glasses.
They're doing another Avatar movie?
They're doing like 5 Avatar movies.
Oh.
Yeah, that was always sort of the plan. Because like the first one was like about like the Earth, and then the second one was water, and the new one's fire. So,
are they going to do air? And
I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know. I don't know James Cameron's plans. Yeah.
Give me Fern Gully any day.
I mean, same thing. Same thing.
But that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sure. People were really excited about it, so cool.
Cool.
I was trying to think if there's anything else that was like really big news that I was like really excited about. Jurassic Park. They showed some Jurassic Park stuff. Wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spider-Man.
Nice.
The Spider-Man title is like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
So gives me a little bit of insight. So
Nice.
yeah. All right. Anyways, we can stop talking about
Okay.
CinemaCon, I guess. We watched a movie.
We watched a movie.
Yeah, what did we watch?
We watched Moneyball.
Moneyball. What's that
Moneyball.
about?
Oakland A's general manager Billy Beane's successful attempt to assemble a baseball team on a lean budget by employing computer-generated analysis to acquire new players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is like the opposite of the first baseball movie we watched this year, which was all about scouts fighting against the computer, and this is about the computer fighting against the scouts. So,
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready for your answer. Did you enjoy this movie?
Not entirely.
No.
It's not really my cup of tea.
Yeah, I love this movie.
I know.
This is was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. It was nominated for Best Actor, Supporting Actor, Editing, Sound Mixing, Screenplay, and Best Picture.
Wow.
Didn't win any of them, but it was nominated for them.
That's great.
Brad Pitt was actually nominated for 2 Best Picture films that year, this and Tree of Life.
Wasn't that another really long movie?
Yeah, it was Terrence Malick, I think.
Oh,
This
okay.
wasn't that long. You said this felt like 2 hours. So we stopped. We didn't watch all the credits. It was like 2 hours and 6 minutes. And I'm like,
Oh,
I've been to plenty of movies with you that are longer than that. Name a Marvel movie we've seen together. It's probably longer than that. So,
Yeah.
but it just didn't move at the pace you needed. It sounds like.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
You can't please all the people all the time.
yeah. Well, and it's really, I don't know, how much do you know about what's going on with the athletics right now? So,
0.
I wonder
I don't know anything about the athletics in general.
I wonder if this movie would have played better for you if you knew what was going on, because it's actually very timely that we're talking about this movie right now. Because athletics are sort of known to have owners that are not really willing to put the money in.
Yeah.
And that's very much the case of what sort of has happened with the Athletics. And I'm saying Athletics and not the Oakland Athletics because they are no longer the Oakland Athletics as of this year. They don't have a real home right now.
What?
So about 5 years ago, the deal was they needed a new stadium, and they tried to make a deal with the city of Oakland, or the owner supposedly tried to make a deal with the city of Oakland, and they sort of had a place, I think, picked out, and the owner, I think, things didn't go well talking with the city, and I think he didn't like them very much, and he was sort of like, hey, I can move this team and make more money. So he started talking to Las Vegas, your favorite place. And that went well. And now I think they're talking about building a $1 billion stadium in Las Vegas. They were approved to move, and they no longer play in the Oakland Coliseum. They're playing in a AAA ballpark for the next 3 years while a stadium gets built in Las Vegas. And
I mean,
but part of what he did is he pulled the funding out of everything. So I went to a game in Oakland because I've been trying to visit all the stadiums, and I went to a game in Oakland at the Coliseum in 2021.
wow.
So it was right at the end of the pandemic. It was actually the game that we went to was the night before mask restrictions were going to go away. So it was like the last day of mask restrictions.
Wow.
People were taking signs out of the Coliseum, like stealing signs, like fans that were about the masks and stuff. And when I was there, I noticed that it was really clear that they were no longer going to take care of the stadium or the players. It was like walking in a cement cavern. There was hardly any signage up. It seemed a little dirty. And there just wasn't any care or attention being paid to it. Normally you go to a stadium at the beginning of the season, all the paint is fresh, not the case. And, he started trading away their good players. and just like paying as little as he could. And so, yeah, it really, really upset the fans. And of course the fans in Oakland, they've been there, for decades. Were really like heartbroken and disappointed about it. And,
That's understandable.
begged him to sell the team. So that way they wouldn't leave. And of course he didn't. And the last game they played as the Oakland A's was in Seattle. And the Seattle fans felt terribly for, like, the Seattle fans were chanting for them to sell the team. And the
Wow.
Mariners, like the staff at T-Mobile Park, because a lot of A's fans came in to see the last Oakland game.
Yeah.
So they came into Seattle to see that. And so the Mariners organization had, like the ushers and security guards and stuff, they all had Oakland A's baseball cards, and they were passing them out to the fans. Just as like a, here's some
Wow.
baseball cards of your team, we're sorry for, what's going on, and just sort of an act of goodwill.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah, it's tough. So this movie sort of like celebrating the idea of like paying as little as possible to the players, is and charging for $1 for a soda and all this stuff just sort of seems really relevant with what's going on with the Oakland A's right now.
Yeah, that definitely gave me the ick.
Yeah, it's very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Well, let's talk about the movie. Tell me your
Okay.
notes.
Well, I was off the bat, no pun intended. I was excited to see Johnny Damon, which
Yeah.
I did not know that he was with the A's before he was with Boston.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea. But like, I wasn't really paying attention to other baseball teams in 2002.
Sure.
I was paying attention to the Cubs. That's pretty much it.
Sure.
And what is it? Mark McGrath? Who was the other guy who was dosing?
Mark McGuire?
McGuire.
McGuire and Sosa? Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that was like a little bit later, but nonetheless, I was like, Johnny Damon, he was with the A's after the Yankees, but I didn't get the whole,
Yeah.
I didn't know when this was set, like at the very top.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I said 2001 right away, but
well, I must have been looking down.
yeah, it was the whole, like, it opens with with Johnny Damon at bat in the 2001 playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was surprising
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah,
not
sure.
knowing that he went from the A's to the Red Sox to the Yankees.
Yeah.
I did
One
not
of the
know that's
weakest
how that
arms
went.
for an outfielder, Johnny Damon.
Yeah.
Yeah, just couldn't throw that ball very far.
The very next note I have is that Billy is rude during the table talk when they're figuring out the problem.
Oh,
I just didn't like be a human, talk to people. Why are you doing that?
Yeah,
It's
for
so
sure.
rude.
For sure.
Like, sure, they're being dismissive of his thoughts, but he didn't go into that as this character,
Yeah.
because this is obviously a characterization of a real person.
Yeah.
He was just a jerk.
Yeah, and I think
So I was like, why am I supposed to like him?
I think a lot of these baseball guys are kind of jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hadn't realized that Billy Bean was a former baseball player.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, like that he was scouted in 79
Mm-hmm.
as a, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say he was like just out of high school,
Yeah, he was a high schooler, yeah.
and he had a full ride
Yeah.
to Stanford?
Stanford, yeah. Yeah,
it doesn't
like
matter.
it's like you might play college baseball and you might get injured, or you might just never get drafted after that. Like, what if you don't have a great career in college, but like the pros are here now? It's sort of like Steven Spielberg, right? Like he was told by Universal, you can finish school if you want, but we're offering you a directing gig now. So, that may not come later. So make your choice. And he chose to not finish school till much later, much later.
Yeah.
So, it happens. You mentioned the meeting with the scouts.
Yeah.
I really love, there's a moment where the guy's like, he doesn't like a player because the guy has an ugly girlfriend. so he says it's because it means he has no confidence. Like, he just would accept an ugly girlfriend.
What a dick.
This is a true story. This actually happened.
Sure.
Where a scout an athletic scout didn't want a player because he didn't have an attractive girlfriend. But it was because I shouldn't laugh at this, but it is funny. He didn't attribute it to no confidence. He attributed it to bad eyesight. So, anyways, old men.
Yep. Yep. People thinking that appearance means something.
Yeah.
Because it fucking doesn't.
Well, appearance actually worked into Chris Pratt in this film as well. So Chris Pratt auditioned for Scott Hatteberg and was told that he was too fat. And so he was like, I'm going to lose weight. And so he started working out. And every week he would call his agent and be like, hey, have they given the role yet? And he just like kept working out. And eventually he's like, okay, I think I'm in shape. So he took a picture of himself and sent it to his agent and he got the role. Appearance, man.
Oh boy. What did I say? I don't understand what this note that I wrote means.
Okay.
They're throwing around names, and I just don't know when he's in Cleveland.
They're throwing around names, and you don't know when he's in Cleveland.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're throwing around names. I just don't know.
Yeah.
When he's in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
Like Garcia for Guthrie. They're all like.
Yeah.
For someone who is a diehard baseball fan.
Sure.
Like yourself, I'm sure you knew who they were talking
Some
about.
of them, not all of them.
And I was just like, okay, names.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters really because it's not. It wasn't about. There's so much of this movie that's like. So this is a baseball movie for sure. There's a lot of like Field of Dreams. I'm not sure Field of Dreams is really a baseball movie, right? This is a movie that's like about baseball. It's central to the plot, and it's the thing that drives the plot forward. But I don't think that the little details, the minutia, is really all that important, other than to like try and be somewhat historically accurate. It's really about sort of the journey that Billy Beane is on, and it's one of the reasons I really love the end of the movie, when he's in his car listening to his daughter's CD, because he's completely like he's always playing as if he's the smartest guy in the room, but he's always lost. Like he's always asking the other guy for input and information, and nobody believes in his idea, and his daughter doesn't know if he's going to have a job, and I think you kind of get that feeling that probably the wife and stepdad probably talk about that at the dinner table in front of the daughter.
Yeah.
And so like and not to jump to the end of the movie, but that's sort of the point, is that like he's lost, right? And he's just trying to like, he's so caught up in all of these things around him and the stuff in his head that he's not like taking a moment to enjoy the fact that he's like plays a game for a living.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the reasons why they chose the song "The Show" is because that's what they call being in the major leagues, is like when you get called up from the minors, you're going up to the show.
Oh.
So, and the lyric in the song is just enjoy the show.
Yes.
And it's like, he's not doing that. He's not taking part in like the pastime of baseball. So
yeah, that song in general is just really sad for her to sing.
Yeah, for sure. But she's
then
singing
she
about her
ends
dad.
it with "You're a loser, Dad."
Yeah, because she's like, and I think like in a playful way, because it's kind of like, she's like, go turn around and go to the game because you're you're not going to jinx it. You're not going to jinx it. And then he goes and he kind of thinks he does jinx it, and they end up winning anyways.
Right.
But they end up winning because the idea that he had faith in works.
Yes.
And
which I would like to talk about when we get to that part.
But if he just get out of his own head and then just enjoy the moment of this amazing thing that happens, you know.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. He was in the weight room or whatever, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways.
My next note is this just shows the professional sports are a predatory business.
Okay, repeat that.
This just shows that professional sports are a predatory business.
Yeah. Entertainment in general is kind of a predatory business.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking about CinemaCon earlier, and they brought Tom Cruise was there, and they brought Chris McQuarrie, the director of the last several Mission Impossible movies. He also wrote Usual Suspects, and he directed Way of the Gun and Valkyrie and a bunch of other things, right? And he's an Academy Award winner, Chris McQuarrie. And he was going to leave the business. He was like sort of disillusioned and like felt like he couldn't do what he wanted to do. And then he met Tom Cruise like 20 years ago, and they made Valkyrie, and it like changed the course of his life. Anyways, they were giving Chris McQuarrie, who almost quit 20 years ago, an achievement in lifetime achievement in directing. And it was like this like beautiful moment where like he achieved this thing, but he said this thing that relates to this, where he's like, he thanked Tom Cruise and was like, "Thank you for letting me put you in harm's way for other people's entertainment." Which is like a funny thing to say, but like it's true, and it goes back to this idea that entertainment is predatory by nature.
Oof.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess that's pretty true.
I mean, like, you don't want it to be, because like the people that are doing it really are doing it for the art of it. But like there's something that you can't get past, and that like once you put your art out there, it in a lot of ways becomes the audience's, and like what they do with it is it's very like critical and again predatory, and like it's like they tear it apart and put it together in a way that they want it to be, you know. It's
I mean, I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but I've been watching The Studio, and it really is so predatory. Like, they're doing it for the art, but you also have to make money. So like, maybe don't do that thing that you love so much and do this thing that's going to make a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you know, that's why a movie like The Substance is like so poignant, where like you sacrifice yourself because you can't continue to work unless you make the changes that some like disgusting rich fat white guy like decides, you know, like that's never met you. So
right. Anyway,
you look terrible.
Then I just wrote, who drinks while they're actively having chew in their mouth?
I think he's are you talking about he's at the dining table and he's like on the phone and stuff? He's got that like clear glass with the beer or whatever.
Yes, he has chew.
He has sunflower seeds. He's an old ball player. They're actually scattered on the table in front of him.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's a bag of David seeds.
God. So like every time he's just spitting, it's sunflower seeds?
It's the shells. He's spitting the shells into the...
Oh my God. Thank goodness, because that grossed me out so badly.
Yeah.
I was like, what? You just... What?
I mean, it's not exactly I mean, it's funny because I go through periods where like I'm like a sunflower seed guy.
Sure.
And I do the same thing. Like I want sunflower seeds. I don't have anywhere to go other than my house to eat them, I guess. So like, I get a mug and I stick seeds into it, and then you know you gotta clean that out because it's gross.
Yes.
It's
totally.
still gross, but not as gross.
Better than chew.
It's better than chew. There are a couple guys in the movie, like the scouts. Some of the scouts are spitting chew into cups.
Okay.
But Billy specifically throughout the movie, it's sunflower seeds many times, popcorn at one point. But
Yes, that was weird.
when he spits the popcorn out, it's hilarious.
Handfuls of popcorn. Oh.
I gotta talk.
Okay, then that note means nothing,
Yeah.
and I feel much better that it was sunflower seeds.
I can get why you'd make that correlation though, because it's pretty synonymous with baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that he was holding them in the front of his mouth, which
I hold mine in my
in
right
the
cheek.
side.
Yeah.
That
Well,
makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, there's probably like, baseball culture, but I do my right cheek so I can move them over one by one, take them apart with my teeth, eat the seed, spit out the shell. But
Yeah. Wow.
but
I don't. Yeah.
I also like the cheek because you can put more there and get more of the flavor from the seeds.
Sure. Like
So-
if they're salted. Or,
Yeah,
Yeah. I get that.
but it can hurt if you put too many. So maybe the bottom lip's not a bad play.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have to say, I hate the computer screen close-ups. This is verbatim what I've said. It's too fucking close, and it moves too fast. I can't imagine watching this on the big screen. I'd claw my eyes out.
Yeah.
That was so, we have a pretty large screen, and I can't imagine watching it on, a huge, in the movie theater. No. It was way too close.
I have more trouble with the TV footage when it's like a camera pointed at a TV. I don't like at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
It's just meh. But
Yeah.
computer stuff didn't bother me as much. But
It was and they're just showing all of the pixels,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just so big and close up, it gives me a headache.
yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So I was just like, is it over? Is it over? I can't read those numbers.
Yeah.
And then I say, look at all these old dogs talking about someone much younger being too old.
Oh yeah. Well, in fairness, I think they're saying relative to what they're trying to do. They wouldn't say that they should play baseball.
Oh.
So I don't know. The guy they're talking about, you're referencing Old Man Justice, David Justice, in the film, who's basically the veteran that he looks to sort of be a leader in the clubhouse. And the guy who plays him played in the minor leagues, and he was actually known in the minor leagues as Young Justice because he looked like David Justice. So they cast him in this film because he could play baseball and he looked like David.
The actor.
The actor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah. They had a lot of minor league, players.
Yeah.
Play parts in this. This movie was originally going to be directed by Steven Soderbergh, and what's his name? Zalian wrote the original draft of this movie, and I think it was going to be Brad Pitt and Dimitri Martin, the comedian Dimitri Martin, was going to play the assistant GM, Peter Brandt, and it ended up not happening. Columbia Pictures dropped the film, and so the script was rewritten with Aaron Sorkin coming in to rewrite it. Now he says, I think publicly, that Zalian's script was so good that he hardly touched it, but I think that's political niceties. I think my understanding is that Sorkin's all over this thing, and so then they gave it to director Bennett Miller. But when Soderbergh was going to do this, he wanted all of the players to play themselves. So he wanted Scott Hatteberg to play Scott Hatteberg and David Justice to play David Justice. And then when
10 years later?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well, thank goodness that didn't happen.
yeah. And also baseball players.
They're not actors.
Baseball players notoriously are terrible actors. Like a lot of athletes are terrible actors, but baseball players in specific are notoriously bad. So, yeah, so it's probably a good thing that didn't happen. But
we've all seen A-Rod and the other guys.
A-Rod and Griffey in was it Little Big League?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ken
Maybe-
Griffey Jr.?
Maybe it was the rookie. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't need any of that.
Right. I wrote about the daughter. The song the daughter sings is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When she's like trying out all the different guitars, which like that guitar she was playing was gorgeous, and I want one.
Noted. Put it on the wish list.
Yes. But the very next thing I wrote was, I could do without watching Brad Pitt lift weights.
Yeah. Okay.
I just don't know why that was in. I don't know why that was in.
Just
It didn't add to the film in my
well,
opinion.
I think it goes to the idea like about him being sort of lost, right? Is that he's this player who never like fulfilled his potential. And I think, like I think in like a lot of professions, when you feel like you never really got there, it's hard to walk away from it. And I think there's like a piece of him that's still a player, and he mentions that to David Justice. He's like, you've never met a GM who was a player. So
Yeah.
I think that goes into a piece of him sort of like feeling like he doesn't really know where he fits in to this.
I see. And so I am imagining that's why they keep showing all of these random shots of Brad Pitt sitting in his truck and driving around in his truck without saying anything.
Well, I think that's his distance from being in the office. Probably
Okay.
a big piece of that is like, yeah, I mean, I think like that he's lost and he's trying to go somewhere, and that he's avoiding the players, and he's avoiding watching the game, and like this thing that he loves, he's like avoiding, because he doesn't know where he's supposed to go with this. And he sort of talks about, I want to like change the game. I don't want to just be a part of the game. I want to change the game, because he
Right.
like never made his mark anywhere. And for the record, he's the like executive vice president of baseball operations or something now. But when he was a GM with the Oakland Athletics, he never won a World Series. So he's still,
Has he yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah. So, again, he's still like trying to figure out how to make a mark. And
Yeah.
and that's this movie's interpretation of it too, I don't know what the guy in real life really cares about. So
Side note,
Yeah.
Jeff has sat next to him on an airplane
oh,
before and said he's a really nice guy, and he's very tall.
yeah.
He's like 6'6".
Yeah, I mean the movie definitely makes some like 6'6" doesn't surprise me for an athlete, but the movie makes some choices to like, I don't know. It makes creative license choices, right? So like he's kind of a dick. He's probably really nice in real life. Art Howe, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character. Also, how great is it to see Philip Seymour Hoffman?
I know.
Art Howe was like on board for the plan in real life. For the sake of sort of having a plot and sort of having a villain for the film, something to go against. It's difficult to like, I think I get why they did it, because I think it would be really difficult to show how the rest of the league looked down on this. It'd be really difficult to make that like a primary thing to go up against. You can mention it several times like they do in the movie, but like without some physical manifestation in front of you working against you, it's difficult to move this plot forward, because it's just an incident it's just a baseball season. Like, it's not.
Well, my very next note is they keep losing, and the coach won't do what he's told by management. It seems like the coach just wants them to lose so he can get fired and work elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's what, like, now knowing that was all fabricated for this film, it just seems really stupid. And it could have been so much more interesting if they had, like, I don't know, shown the collaboration between management and the coach.
But yeah, I don't know if it would have been more interesting. I think probably, if they had been like true to real life, I think it would have been a lot less interesting. I'm not advocating for like lying about history or whatever, but like, again, it's baseball's 6 months long. It's 162 games. It's a lot of people find it boring. And when you just draw that out, you just like stretch that out, and you don't have like a conflict, like what is the point of the movie? Like I get that they want to tell the story that's like this book, but like a book can sort of demonstrate the larger odds in a way that a movie, because you have more time and people could do things at their own pace. But a movie's got 2 hours to do it. So you have to just like figure it out. And I think if they were like true, I think this would have been like, you just do a documentary at that point. I just don't know how. Okay. I just don't know how you do this. I don't know how you do this story in an interesting way without an antagonist.
Kind of felt like the what are they called? The older Scouts? Gentlemen. The Scouts were the enemies.
Yeah, but only for like 30 minutes of the movie. Then they're gone. Then they never come back. You know, like I don't know. I just think they did
sometimes the books are better than the movie.
Sometimes. I mean, it's not nominated for. I mean, I know you didn't like it, but it was nominated for 6 Academy Awards.
So was Anora.
Yeah, but Anora's fantastic. You didn't like Anora, but like a lot of people. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to like go with the flow, right? But hold on one second. Gonna look something up here.
Okay.
So like Anora, 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means 93% of critics like this film. 84% of audiences like this film, right? So like you don't have to like be in the 84% or the 93%, right? But like at some point we have to acknowledge that like even if it's not for me, there must be something about this thing that I don't see, or something about this movie that I didn't connect with that other people are getting, and that's okay. But it doesn't make the movie doesn't make Anora bad because you didn't like it, right? I'm gonna look up Moneyball now.
I need some of our people to come out and tell, like, did you like Anora? Because the majority of the people, not counting you, the majority of the people I talked to didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. So
maybe I live in a bubble.
So Moneyball, 94% from critics at 273 reviewers, 86% from audiences that's over 50,000 ratings.
Wow.
So you know, like again, like you don't have to like it. Like it's fine that you didn't like it.
Yeah.
But like there is. I don't know. It's a weird, difficult conversation to have, right? Because you don't want to like gatekeep film from people or make people feel like their opinions aren't worth anything or worth discussing, right? So it's difficult like conversation to have, but it goes back to something I've said over and over again on the podcast: is that like just because I like something doesn't make it good, and just because I dislike something doesn't make it bad.
Totally.
And you know, I love Super Troopers. I don't think it's a good movie. You know?
One of my favorite movies is Empire Records, and it's horrible.
Let's look at Empire Records. Let's pull up.
The continuity in that film is so bad, it drives me crazy. But like, there's just this nostalgic thing. Yeah,
sure. No, I get that.
You know,
Empire Records, 35% off from critics. But that's okay. But audiences like Empire Records. I mean, I think there's sometimes some things transcend, you know, criticism. Let's just, for the sake of it, let's look at Super Troopers, because it is a movie I point to a lot. It's a movie I really find really funny. Super Troopers, 36%, and like just because, but 90% by audiences, right? Like 90% of audiences love this movie. I think it's a really, really funny movie. I also don't think it's well made. I don't think it's that great of a film. You're missing in Moneyball or a Nora or whatever, you're missing maybe some aspects of why it's well made, like you're not seeing them. That's okay. Like, Bonnie and Clyde was, I think, similar, right? Like, you just like were like, I don't get why this movie is so highly revered.
Well, because I don't like New Wave. I don't
That's
like French
true.
New Wave film.
That's true, and it was definitely inspired by that.
Mm-hmm.
Bonnie and Clyde. We're looking at Bonnie and Clyde now. And some people just like hate Rotten Tomatoes, right? They hate like, but I think this is like I think this is a good way to look at like metrics. 91% from critics for Bonnie and Clyde, 88% for audiences.
From when were those people?
Well, the critics would have been mostly from the era.
Okay.
And some of them would be some people rate stuff now and are credited, so they go back and talk about stuff. But audiences, I mean, it would have been mostly probably this era of audiences that are voting for that, because the internet didn't exist when Bonnie and Clyde were there, so there was no way to aggregate that, right? But
not the way it does now.
Yeah. I can see how like a movie like The Substance, right, is not accessible to everybody. I know people who cannot watch that film.
Right. I know my mom can't watch it because it's just too grotesque, and she
disturbing.
doesn't watch grotesque things.
It's a horror movie. It is. It's considered horror.
Yeah.
And definitely body horror for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that just can't access that film, and if they did, they would see it as, a movie they don't like.
Yeah.
But sorry, I clicked the wrong button.
I mean, some people aren't ready to watch something that they don't understand.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, there's a large portion of this movie I don't understand.
That's fair. That's why I don't like Lord of the Rings.
That's fine. I've only seen the first one. I went to a 9:00 show and fell asleep because it was a 9:00 show for a 3.5 hour movie. Lord of the Rings. But like, that happens.
Yeah.
And this just like was a little outside my depth.
Yeah. Well, and, so going to The Substance, again, 89% from critics, 75% from audiences, both really great scores. But some people are just going to be like, nah, because they just can't access what is great about it. And I get that this movie is slow. When you were like, we're only halfway, I was trying to process like what it was that I was like getting out of it that you weren't, like why it was moving for me and why it was slow for you. And I wonder if some things, like there's a lot of scenes where there's just no music, it's just deathly quiet.
Yeah. Like I wrote multiple times, he's still in his truck. I wrote, these close-ups of Brad Pitt in his truck need to stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe cut some of those things down, maybe add some music, and maybe these things pick up a little bit. It's interesting that it got an Academy Award nomination for editing. Or was it editing or sound effects editing? What did I say? I have it here. Sound mix, editing. Yeah, editing. Which I think is kind of an interesting, I mean, it's like all of the baseball stuff is pretty well done.
Well, I mean, they submitted themselves for that.
They submitted themselves for that, but that doesn't mean they're going to be nominated.
Right.
I mean, the Academy looks at a list of 500 movies or whatever, and then they narrow it down to 5. Like it was in the top 5 of films edited according to the Academy, according to your peers.
My peers.
Well, our peers, but but you're actually in a guild, right? And I'm not. I'm just like an indie nonsense. Nobody cares what my opinion is. So you actually have a voice, right?
Well, a little teeny tiny.
And her voice is like, I hate Nora and Moneyball.
So take that.
Yeah.
No.
Somebody's got to speak up for the little guy out there. I mean, if you're in the 7% or the 13% or whatever, then yeah, you're speaking up for the little guy,
There you
the
go.
minority.
Yep.
So
Um,
I'm glad you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Here, back to the movie.
Yeah.
Here's a quote. This is the. I guess it was supposed to be a pep talk, but Brad Pitt walks into the clubhouse. Is that where the dude's saying after the game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He goes, "You may not look like a winning team, but you are." And I just wrote, "Thanks."
Yeah, I mean, that again, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like he's awkward and he has no relationship with these, like by his own design, he has
Yes.
no relationship with these people. So like when it came time for him to do this thing that he like should be able to do, he struggled with it.
Yeah. Yep.
But there were some moments that I thought were pretty good where he comes in and he's like, "Hey, you did great with this. You did da da da," and then he's like, "Xavi, you it looked like you were swinging an oar at the ball. Like you gotta learn to hit the ball. Like," and it's like,
Right.
you did so well right until the very end there. And it's like,
Yeah. He's not great at giving constructive criticism.
he's not good at like being socially interactive with human beings.
Yes.
And that goes back to
Yes.
all the like very back with some of the first things you said when he's like, doing this in the scout meeting. It's like he's socially awkward.
Yeah.
He's not good at it.
Yeah. And also, I was surprised when he says the Yankees are paying $3.5 million for someone to not play for them.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so basically they were talking about how at the beginning when he was like, "Oh, I want David Justice," and they're like, "Old man Justice." The Yankees are just trying to get rid of him. And so what the Yankees did is they traded David Justice to Oakland. Oakland gave them whatever nonsense piece.
Yeah.
Maybe Giambi, I don't remember. Or maybe Giambi left. I can't remember. But they basically said, "You can have David Justice for so-and-so." And the Oakland's like, "Well, we can't afford David Justice." And they're like, "Well, we'll pay half of his salary that's still owed to him." Because he's under a contract. So he's already under a $7 million contract. So his point to David Justice was like, yeah, you see yourself as a $7 million, 7 point whatever $million player. But the Yankees were like, "This guy's so bad, we'll pay somebody else $3 million so we can play against him."
That's
that was
just wild.
That was his point to David Justice, right? And that's when they like, "You think you're smart, but really this is the case.
Wow.
You're not as special."
And I didn't realize it's so easy to just trade players away.
I mean, it depends. So it's not always. Some players have no trade clauses, or they have specific teams that they'll only go to. So I think Nolan Arenado, this last offseason, he had I think the Mariners wanted him, but they weren't on his list of 5 teams that he would be willing to go to.
Oh, wow.
So it has to do with your tenure. You're not eligible to do that until you've had a certain number of years in the majors, and then also whatever your agent negotiates with the team also factors into that. And they mentioned one of the agents at the beginning. He gets a phone call from Scott. He's like, "You're killing me, Scott." I can't remember exactly what he says, but that's probably a reference to Scott Boras, the most hated manager in Major League Baseball. Yeah, he's both gotten players some of the most highest contracts of all time, and also really hurt players by sort of having them hold out as long as possible. So,
oh no!
But ultimately he makes people a lot of money. So,
yeah. Going back to excuse me. I write, "Why is he making a relationship with the players after saying he doesn't mingle with the players?" And then I wrote, "Oh, he's disrupting. He's changing the game, essentially."
Attempting to, yeah.
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 Which, I get it. And then getting the players on his side can affect their relationship with the coach, so that instead of listening to what the coach says, they're going to listen to what he says. But he did make some really great suggestions like stop trying to steal second base when you're always getting out
Yeah.
when you try to steal second base.
He's like, you pay me to do that. And he's like, no, I pay you to get on first base, not get thrown out at second. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great line.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed when he started becoming more of a person.
Yeah, like he starts well, I think part of it is listening to his daughter to go back to the game and then realizing that he didn't actually jinx the team.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is, like I think Jonah Hill's character is like a little awkward too because he's like a numbers guy, but he's also like likable.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe rubs off a little bit on.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. Well, because when he first meets Jonah Hill, he's very like direct. Like, who are you? I'm so and so. No, I didn't ask your name. Who are you? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
And you do see him become more personable as the film progresses.
Yeah. The scout, the black scout that goes with him to go meet with Scott Hatteberg.
Yes.
That's Ron Washington, who baseball fans will know as he's won several World Series.
Really?
Yeah. And he's now, I think he's the coach of the Angels now.
Really?
Yep. He played for the Dodgers. He played for the Twins. Played for the Orioles, the Indians. Well, what were used to be the Indians, now they're the Guardians. The Astros. He managed the Texas Rangers, won a World Series, and now he's the Los Angeles Angels. He was as a manager. He was a coach of the Braves and the Athletics as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's pretty storied. But I really liked that moment when he took him to go meet Scott Hatteberg. And the reason why I brought this up was I was thinking about how awkward he was around people and how like easy it was for like the scouts and stuff and then people around him to sort of like communicate in a way that was like funny and like in some ways off-putting, but also like kind of endearing.
Yeah.
Like they're meeting with Scott Hatteberg and Hatteberg's like, well, what about the fans? And he's like, oh, that's a good idea. I can ask them if they can play first base.
Right.
and Billy Bean's like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So.
That was good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I noticed they said the A's were the only team to have 17 wins straight, and they talked about a different state A's, different city.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Athletics. Prior to being in Oakland, they were in Philadelphia. They moved teams or moved states.
The A's at that time were the only team to have 17 straight wins.
Yes.
They tied. Where were they? Philadelphia.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia A's and the Oakland A's, and it's the same team.
Well, they were
essentially
they were talking about a franchise record. So the Athletics, the most wins in a row the Athletics had ever had was 17.
Yes.
And it was set so far back that it was when they were still in Philadelphia.
Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
But
like they were the last team to have done that when they were elsewhere.
But the record in the American League was like 19. Okay. And so that's what they were chasing. And so hitting 20 was like breaking that record.
And they're the Nationals?
I'm sorry?
Are they the Nationals? The National League?
No. Sorry, the American League is what they're in. Then there's the National League, which is not the Nationals team, but that's the league that like the Mets and the...
Right. When I said Nationals, I meant the league, not a team. Gotcha. I thought that was cool. That they set the same record their team had made many, many years prior.
Well, it's not that their other team set the record. I mean, it was I guess their franchise record, but it was only a record within the Athletics, not baseball anywhere else. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So
yes.
It's like if a new team was made, the Hollywood Hippos, that's what I play in my baseball game. So if the Hollywood Hippos like became a major league team, their first season and they get a win streak of 5, their franchise record is 5.
Gotcha.
So
gotcha. Yes.
But yeah.
Gotcha.
And the record in the American League has been broken now by the Cleveland Guardians. It's like 20,
Oh,
22 games in a
Cleveland
row, I think.
Guardians.
It's either 22 or 26 games in a row. You say it used to be the Indians.
Yes.
That's a no-no now.
Right.
Now they're the Guardians.
Ah,
Their name.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard their name the name shift.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard their new name.
They've been the Guardians for a few seasons now. It's new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I moved to LA, I really stopped watching baseball.
Yeah. Well, they no longer have a caricature of a Native American on their
Well, that's good.
uniform.
That's good.
Yeah. I think
That's very
I
good.
think he was named Chief Wahoo. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What do I have next? He's worried about jinxing the game, but his daughter tells him to go. He does, and they start losing.
Yes, but they win.
I know. And I say, wait, why do they win? Harry,
Don't know Hatteberg?
Hattie, I tried to write Hattie, but it came out Harry. Hatteberg is seemingly the first player up to bat from how they show it.
No, they've just
Because a bunch of dudes just came off the field from being in the outfield.
Yeah.
And then he goes up to bat
he's
and they
pinch hitting.
win the game.
Yeah. So it's the ninth inning, tie game, bottom of the ninth because they're playing in Oakland.
It's bottom of the ninth.
So one run wins the whole thing. Yeah.
I didn't see anything maybe I missed it. I was looking down or something to type something.
Yeah,
But
they showed the scoreboard.
did they show that it was the bottom of the ninth?
Yeah. Yeah. So he comes up to bat, and that's actually an interesting moment because the bat that he used to hit that was made by a company he didn't have a deal with. So all players have deals with various bat companies: Louisville Slugger, Victus, Mizuno. I use Mizuno bats. Whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they had these deals, and he had a deal with a different company. I didn't see what bat it was. Let's just say it's Louisville Slugger.
Mm-hmm.
And he had borrowed a bat from a teammate earlier and grabbed it on his way out to pinch hit, and he got fined for using a different bat than he was supposed to use. It's like, if you don't use the stuff that you've agreed contractually to, we'll fine you. He probably didn't care though, because
Probably not, because
they won the 20th game.
yeah, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. The A's closer in the top of the ninth inning is the one who blew the save. His name is Billy Koch. Because so he comes out to get the save, preserve the win. He blows it, gives up the tying run. So now there's no winning pitcher on record. Hatteberg comes up to bat. Because Koch is the last pitcher when they win the game, Koch becomes the winning pitcher of the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
He did save 9 games during that streak. He won 3 games and saved 9 games. So he's, pretty integral to that 20 game streak.
Yeah.
So
What else do I have? Why is Billy wearing a wedding ring?
great question. So in reality, Billy Beane was actually remarried at this point. So in the book, he's actually remarried. I think this is like sort of this like idea that he's like lost and can't let go of things. It's like a manufactured plot element. And you get a little bit of that when he's talking to Spike Jones. I don't know if you guys
Who played Spike?
Spike Jones is, the director, Spike Jones.
I do.
Yeah, that's who played the stepfather. The
Oh,
ex-wife's new husband was played by Spike Jones. Another Oscar winner in the cast. And then obviously Robin Wright, Penn, or I think she was Penn at the time. He's like, you got her a cell phone, and he's like, we can have a discussion about it. And he's like, her mother and I will have a discussion about it. Like sort of cutting him out. And I think this idea that like maybe this is still really raw for him, and he's not really okay with being without his wife, but in reality, in the book, he's actually remarried already.
Right?
But, lost.
Yeah.
Thematically.
It made it seem like he still wished that he were married to his ex-wife.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
and
the idea.
that's why he was wearing the wedding ring.
Yeah, he couldn't let go. I think that's absolutely the idea.
Okay. What did I write? And then they lose and are dragged through the mud over the fact that they tried to do something statistical over talent.
Yeah, right. It's rough. It's like everybody's against it, then everybody's for it, and then everybody's against it again.
But then, was it the following year that the Red Sox did the exact same thing that he did, and they won the World Series?
2 years later, they win.
2 years later.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
With Johnny Damon.
Kurt Schilling, Roger Clemens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a weird mixed message between like the value of having people who understand the game. I think there are some things like we talked about in Trouble with the Curve. There's some things that computers can't tell you. Computers can't tell you if players won't show up for your birthday party, your team, because that tells you that you're not liked and you don't get along with the team and you might become a problem, right? Or that you you have a string of being let off the hook drunk driving, or you have a string of battered women behind you, or whatever. So there's a lot of things that computers can't tell. So that's the benefit of having real people. But I think there's also some things that real people can't quite wrap their heads around, and that's the science of what we call fan graphs now. I mean, the people who created this Moneyball statistic, they created a whole program and website that deals with these baseball statistics, and a lot of these things, like, they're so focused on base percentage, that's not even like a main focus anymore. Now it's like, wins above replacement, so it's definitely evolved. And I personally think that there's too much emphasis on some of these new advanced statistics now, that people look really great on paper, but like in execution, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, this guy that played for Texas had a great win above replacement. He's like in the positives, but he's going over to a new team where he traditionally doesn't hit. I have a specific player I'm thinking of in mind, by the way, where he doesn't traditionally hit well in the stadium. And then, of course, and people are like, no, but he's so good because look at his stats from last year. It's like, well, last year he only played 3 games in the stadium. He played all the other games in other stadiums. Like, now he's going to play 82 game or 81 games in the stadium. So, like, you have to factor in half of his season is now going to be in one stadium. It's like, they don't. And then guess what happened last year? He hits in the 100s. So, like, the computer doesn't always have it right.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird message in this film.
Yes.
What else do you have?
I just wrote, "You're just a loser, Dad." Those aren't the lyrics of the song.
Is that the end of your notes? 'Cause that's the end of the movie.
That is the end of my notes.
This is the third baseball movie in film history to be nominated for Best Picture. It was behind The Pride of the Yankees and Field of Dreams.
Really?
Yeah. Do you think there was
only those three?
Only those three. Well, yeah, I don't think one has been nominated since then.
Nor before?
Well, just those two before Field of Dreams, and so like The Natural, which we're going to cover. Spoiler alert: we're going to cover. Wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, we have two more baseball movies, by the way. We're going to do so. Some interesting little factoids. They couldn't obviously afford to just like travel around the country and shoot in all these different stadiums, so they used Dodger Stadium and dressed it up as. They shot at Oakland, of course, the Coliseum, but then they used Dodger Stadium and dressed it up as other ballparks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting because most stadiums really have really specific looks. And they did shoot at Fenway for that final scene, obviously, or one of those final scenes. And they only had access for like one day, and it rained, so they just were like, "Well, we're working it in." So this is what we're doing.
Wow.
I want to point out that Scott Hatteberg, who in this film is presented as a terrible first baseman, he ended the year with a fielding percentage of .994, which is like, hardly any mistakes, basically 99.4% perfect. The league average was .993, so he was actually higher than the league average as a first baseman.
As someone who had never played first base.
Someone who never played first base.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe it's not so hard. I have this note here. It's kind of interesting. Wally Pfister was the DP on this. I love Wally Pfister. The original DP was a guy by the name of Adam Kimmel, and he was, during pre-production, arrested in Connecticut on sexual assault, weapons, and explosives possession charges. So he got replaced.
What?
Yeah. Crazy, right? Bless you.
So sorry.
The director has talked about that scene when he gets a phone call at the end, and it's we know it's the Red Sox now, but at the time you don't know who it is, and he's drinking, and he takes a big drink, and then he puts his glass down and doesn't finish it. And they did that as sort of like a subtle like metaphor for this idea of like being just this close to finishing your goal. So it's sort of just like a sip away from achieving your goal.
Yeah.
Lastly, the last note I have is that something the movie doesn't talk about. So it makes a big deal about getting on base and, the paying very little and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
They had 3 pitchers that had 15 or more wins. Mark Mulder had 19 wins, which is a lot for a pitcher in a season. Tim Hudson had 15, who they show Hudson screwing up. Barry Zito had 23 wins. They had 2 hitters with over 30 home runs and 100 runs batted in. That was Eric Chavez and Miguel Tejada. Miguel Tejada was the American League's most valuable player for that year. Barry Zito won the Cy Young Award, which is like the award you give to one pitcher gets it in each league. That pitching rotation is considered to be one of the best pitching rotations in baseball history. Movie kind of doesn't really talk about any of that because it doesn't really fit the narrative, the struggle. But like maybe they didn't struggle as much as the movie wants us to think they did, obviously. So
yeah.
That's it. That's all.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
those are cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you didn't love the movie. Would you recommend it to people?
If they know a lot about baseball, yes.
Yeah. You think this is, and I could see that this is maybe more for people who are like diehard baseball people.
Like, I'll ask my dad if he likes it. I'm sure he loves it.
Yeah.
Because like he can just spout off like different facts about baseball and who they were playing and what the weather was like. Like, he is a diehard baseball fanatic.
Yeah.
I'm sure he really enjoys it.
I love my favorite moment of the movie is, well, my second favorite moment of the movie is when he tells Art Howe that Pena's been, he's like, he can't play Pena because he doesn't play for our team anymore. He plays for the Tigers. But my favorite moment is, and just like right out of my brain, I was like, what was I about to talk about? And it's your favorite moment of the movie, Wes. You should know. Holy shit. That really just like gone from my brain. Oh wow, I'm contemplating editing this episode for the first time so that way I can remember and like put it in. It was I shouldn't have talked about my second favorite moment of the movie. I should have just stuck to my favorite moment. Oh yeah, I don't know why. I love this moment. It's when Peter's like, "Come with me," and he shows him the footage of the minor league player who hits the home run and doesn't really see he's hit a home run.
Oh yeah,
he's like, it's a metaphor. He's like, I get it's a metaphor. I just really like that moment and sort of how it ties into Billy Bean's like sort of lack of sight of the big picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
really ties it all together for me.
I like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Baseball. Well,
yes.
I guess that's all we have time for. I don't know which movie is next because we don't have we have guests for our next two movies, and I don't think we've locked either of them down for a specific date. So
You're
I might leave it a mystery which movie is going to be next.
Oh.
Because I've reached out to someone and you've reached out to someone and I don't think we know yet. So I think we'll just have to leave it there.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to add?
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, please.
Review.
Yeah.
Follow us.
Engage us.
In all of the places. We're on TikTok.
Mm-hmm. We're on Instagram.
You can Instagram, leave us comments, and we will respond to them.
Yeah, we'll heart your comment and
yes.
probably. And
yeah.
I'm not going to just blanket say I'm going to heart a comment because if it's like inappropriate.
Yeah, if it's something mean or inappropriate,
if it's mean,
don't do that.
If it's mean, we'll ignore it. If it's inappropriate, we might delete it. But
like, if you have something to say, you're like, I think blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's have a discussion.
Yeah. Explain why Alexis is right about Honora and I'm wrong. Somebody back this girl up.
Or explain why Wes is right and I'm wrong.
Sure.
I mean, no one is always right. And no one is always wrong.
Cool.
There's a mixture of both.
Great philosophy.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Until next time, Bon Cinema.